Welcome back, Albert here. Today we will be discussing Tar-Ancalimë, the 7th ruler and the first ruling queen of Númenor. Ancalime, her birth name, means most bright, and she was born in the spring of 873 of the Second Age, daughter of Tar-Aldarion, the 6th king of Númenor, and the queen, Erendis. Now, unlike most Númenorian royal family stories that we've looked into thus far, Ancalime's is very different. Her mother and father had a very troubled relationship, especially in the early courting days, mostly due to Aldarion's voyages, and things didn't improve after marriage, which you will see. Please check out my videos on Tar-Aldarion for more insight. Things truly came to a head in the year 877 SA, just before the 4th birthday of Ancalime. Aldarion declared openly to Erendis once again his desire to set sail on another voyage. It is said he resisted leaving until Ancalime's 4th birthday. He spent the whole day with Ancalime, making her laugh and merry. Ancalime had no idea her father was leaving, asking him of their future summer holidays, which would never be. Aldarion didn't answer, and leaving that night to prep his ship, returning a few days later to say goodbye to Erendis and Ancalime. He kissed his daughter as she clung to him. He set her down and rode off quickly. A moment that would both haunt Aldarion as he sailed away and Ancalime for the years to come. Erendis reacted bitterly to Aldarion's departure and immediately departed their city dwelling, leaving to their white house in Emeria, which was gifted to her during her engagement to Aldarion by the king. Leaving to their white house in Emeria. They only had themselves now. Erendis made sure of it. Erendis's heart turned bitter against all men in ways. This she expressed by only having female servants in the house. From this point on, she sought to mould Ancalime to her own mind and feed her upon her own bitterness against men. An example of her teachings was thus: "Thus it is, Ancalime, and we cannot alter it. For men fashioned Númenor, men, those heroes of old that they sing of their women we hear less, save that they wept when their men were slain. Númenor was to be a rest of war, and if we love Númenor, let us enjoy it before they ruin it. We also are daughters of the great, and we have wills and courage of our own. Therefore do not bend, Ancalime. Once bend a little, and they will bend you further until you have bowed down. Sink your roots into the rock and face the wind, though it blow away all your leaves." And Ancalime seldom saw any men. Men who did visit were only the king's messengers, and they didn't stay long, for men found the house held a cold chill. The years passed, and Ancalime had soon become accustomed to the society of women and a peaceful life of Emeria that her mother had created. She was now 7 years old and would often go out of the house by herself to the wide downs, helping the shepherdess, tending sheep and eating under the sky. She did this mostly because of the tense atmosphere of her house, which had little laughter and no music anymore. This was something she had to escape. Although there was something of her mother's coldness and sense of injury, which they both developed from their father's leaving, she was different. She was, to the bitterness of her mother, too much like her father in character, resolute in pursuing her desires, and obstinate, always taking the opposite course to any that was cancelled. She truly was her father's daughter. But this is something Ancalime was completely unaware of, because due to the bitterness of her mother, she was never told the name of her father. She just knew he had left them, nothing more. But in the summer of the same year, 800 SA, this would change. It happened during one of the summer days. Ancalime would come upon a boy on an errand from one of the distant farms, munching some bread and drinking milk in the farm courtyard near the house. This boy's name was Ibal. He introduced himself, and to her surprise he was acquainted with their family. He revealed his father was one of the venturers who had left many years ago with her father, Aldarion. A fact Ancalime had never really pondered about openly until now. This prompted her to ask questions, not of her mother, but of her only real friend, Zamin. Zamin was an old countrywoman, a servant of their house. Zamin was free-tongued and not easily daunted, not even by Erendis. Zamin proceeded to confirm what Ibal had told her, a fact kept by her mother out of bitterness towards her father. That evening she asked her mother about this. "Is my father called Lord Aldarion?" Erendis replied coldly. "He was." "When will he come back?" Erendis replied, "Do not ask me. Never, perhaps. But do not trouble yourself, for you have a mother, and she will not run away while you love her." Ancalime didn't ask about her father again, an understandable decision. But everything would change in 882 SA, when Aldarion would finally return to Numenor. Ancalime, standing beside her mother, Aldarion greeted them. They responded indifferently and coldly. Ancalime unsure of who he was. Aldarion looked at his daughter. He could see his likeness, and he could also see that Erendis hadn't fully changed his daughter. Aldarion looked at his daughter, and he could see his likeness in her, which made him happy. Not revealing himself, he spoke. "Today I am but a messenger from Amnelos to remind you that you are the daughter of the king's heir." And with that he departed. It wasn't long after that a request from the king, Tar-Meneldor, asking for Ancalime and Erendis to come back to Amnelos. Ancalime would go, but Erendis would stay. This was of course seen as the end of Aldarion and Erendis' marriage, in a way. Aldarion, her father, would become king in the following spring of 883 SA, although his habits would not change. For the first 18 years of his rule, he would often be gone from Numenor. Ancalime would, during this time, travel between Emeria and Amnelos, and by this time Ancalime had turned into a beautiful woman. It was during this period many suitors approached her, and now at the age of 19 things would really change for Ancalime. Her father, Tar-Aldarion, would change the law of succession, officially making Ancalime the heir of the king. A truly great change to the Númenorean political system. After Ancalime's change of position, suitors from all over the land sought Ancalime's attention, but she showed no interest, gaining her the nickname Emerwan Arenel, meaning princess, shepherdess, and would in fact leave the city, aided by Zamin, hiding at a farm on the borders of Halatan, where she lived the life of a shepherdess for a time. Aldarion prevented anyone from searching for her. He respected her sense of independence. I imagine it reminded him of himself in his youth, and he wanted to encourage it. With this freedom, Ancalime was able to find love naturally, away from all the eager nobles, meeting a man called Mamandil, a shepherd who was tending flocks in the same region. And within time he declared his love for her openly, but she refused him, saying that her fate lay between them, for she was the heir to the king. Mamandil was not heartbroken, declaring the truth. His true name was Holakar, and he was not a common shepherd, but in fact the son of Halatan, of the line of Elros Tar Minjator. This angered Ancalime, and she felt betrayed and tricked. Now, There are a few different versions of what happened next, or what drove Ancalime to do it, but she would marry Halacar. It seems it may have been for political reasons. She could produce an heir, preventing her cousin, Sorontu, from inheriting the throne, but this isn't for sure. But whatever the reason, she would marry him in 1000 SA. Ancalime's life with Halacar was an unhappy one from the beginning. Even after they had a child together, a son, called Anaron, in the year 1003 SA, soon the couple would become estranged. The year 1075 SA, her father Tar-Aldarion would finally surrender the scepter of kingship, and she would become Tar-Ancalimë, the 7th ruler and first ruling queen of Númenor, ruling for 205 years. Notable events during her reign. It is said after her father's death in 1098 SA, Tar-Ancalimë would neglect all her father's policies, giving no further aid to the Noldorian king Gil-galad in Lindon. 1200 SA, Sauron endeavours to seduce the Eldar. Gil-galad refuses to treat with him, but the smiths of Eragon are won over. The Númenorians begin to make permanent havens. Tar-Ancalimë would surrender the throne to her son, Anaron, in the year 1280 SA. Ancalime would live on another 5 years, dying in the year 1285 SA, thus ending the tale of Tar-Ancalimë at the age of 412 years old. And that's it, my friends. This was a challenging character to unravel, just like her father Tar-Aldarion, like father, like daughter. Researching her parents and her life, I think I've come to know her in so many ways, and I can completely understand why she turned out the way she did. It wasn't a surprise that she neglected giving aid to Gil-galad after her father died. She owed nothing to her father in that respect. I believe she wanted to be our own ruler, not inheriting his agreements or problems. And thanks to the upbringing of her mother, she never wanted to be dominated by any man's decisions, especially her father's. She showed similar feelings to her husband, Halacar, something that made their marriage very unhappy. She even prevented her female servants from marrying. And I must remark, she held on to her kingship till the very end, only dying 5 years later, which showed a strong will to maintain control over her life and maybe preventing her male son from ruling as long as possible. She was strong-willed, independent, an extremely interesting character, reflecting both her mother's and her father's characteristics, for good or for bad. And that's it, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you like it, please comment, subscribe, share, and like it. The next video will be more of a cultural video, because the next rulers of Númenor are becoming a bit more complicated to unravel. So I will be taking perhaps a step back to more of a cultural Númenorian video, which I think you'll find quite interesting. I will post social media updates about this. Please keep an eye out for this, because it will get buried in the ether of social media and you will never see it. Thanks once again for watching, and as always, may the light of Haerangil guide your way.